life. I mean, I would show up for this class at 7 o'clock in the morning, but I would struggle to show up to work, you know. So it was a thing that had, you know, meaning. It gave me motivation. And I was living in New York City, so you know there's a lot of distractions, a lot of activity. And a woman with my assets, it's a lot of attention. And for me, it became a practice of kind of covering my body so that I could have peace of mind. Okay? But this practice, at the time, was Pilates. It wasn't yoga for me. There was too much to yoga. I wasn't ready for it. I was like, let me just enjoy Pilates. But it was through this awareness of my body, coming to celebrate my body, its capacity, its resilience. I would find this deep awareness that would arise when I would walk, feeling my spine get long, feeling my feet rooted, feeling the fluidity of my hips. And I also noticed this sense of being concentrated in just my breath, my awareness, feeling the steadiness of mind, the sense of deep peace. And I didn't want that to be disrupted by cat calls. I didn't want it to be disrupted by cat calls. So fast forward, I lived through 9/11. I was in grad school at the time, and that put everything in deep perspective. Like, what is this all about, really? You know, I was in grad school studying cinema, history, how we look at women, people of color, through that lens. And for me, it was about being in deep contact with the community, and not just talking from this, you know, kind of voice of authority about how we observe people, but to actually having deep contact. And so, living through 9/11, it was like, yeah, there's something more to this life than kind of talking and looking through this lens. So for me, I see yoga becoming this opportunity to kind of shift that perspective, to get from behind a camera and to really break open the eye, to see myself and others with eyes of compassion. So that sense that I first gained when I discovered Pilates and the practice of walking and being settled in the body, as I returned home and found my spiritual compass lined up with Buddhism, it was a wonderful practice that actually gave me these exercises to come back to this space of the body, of being founded or established in the body, to take refuge in the body. And so for me, hiding my butt all the time, you know, in big clothes or well-placed messenger bags, it was a chance to relax in the body, to abide in the body, to find a sense of safety and trust in the body. So then I could look at my body in a different way and celebrate its capacity, its strength. So I found that level of refuge brought me to a place of being able to reclaim my body for myself. It wasn't just about my butt, you know, there's more to me than that. And I stopped being afraid of that. And then, of course, as a yoga teacher, you're wearing yoga pants, and you're in front of everybody showing your butt. You lose that sense of self-consciousness. So I was able to reclaim that for myself, my body. And what I love, I think Melissa says in her story, she talks about that, you know, she existed because of her parents. She existed for her kids. And now she's at the point in her life where she exists for herself. Yeah. And I think for many of us as women, and we'll get a chance to get into this with the models very shortly, and with all of you, you know, we're told so much, we're told how to be, what to smell like, you know, how to walk, how to talk, and what's this definition of womanhood, and it comes from other people. And so how do we reclaim what that means for us? So, you know, yoga, this practice of yoga, of Buddhism, the coming to the body, being established in the body, brought me a sense of reclamation. And through that process of reclamation, which I really feel is constantly coming back to a place of refuge, of, you know, peeling back those layers. It's an ongoing process. It's not just complete with the first awakening, but I found the resilience, that ability to kind of bounce back from challenge and change, to see my body as it changed through motherhood, you know, to have my pubic bones separate, to be teaching have a family dad, and I'm, nestled on the side. And so being sandwiched between my partner and my child, like, I want my body back to myself. So it's a constant practice of being at peace with the changes and finding ways to reclaim a little bit of yourself for yourself. And so that resilience, again, springing back from challenge and change, living through the injuries, recognizing that this chain of weakness that I've had for many years, even as a yoga teacher, teaching other people how to move and take care of their bodies, I had to come into this full awareness of the reality that I've been in chronic pain for 20 years. And so that recently, that in the last 2 years, has been resolved, but it took this diligence, this curiosity. And that's something that I invite you, and I invite all the practitioners who take classes with me to really tap into, that curiosity, to be the experts in our own body. Again, we're told to kind of neglect the body sometimes and hand it over to the experts, right? Let someone else who spent more time in school tell you what to do. But we can be the experts in our own body. But it comes to this practice of relaxing in, of checking in, of having this kind of clear comprehension, this curiosity, and this ardent and diligent commitment to our bodies. And that's what it took for me to rehab some of the injuries, to bring myself back into a place of stability, to realize that a large butt and a dense butt didn't mean it was a strong butt. So, it's true. I tell people, don't take the side, it's firm, but it wasn't strong. But now it's strong. So, and I value, as a child, as a tomboy, so I valued that sense of strength, and to, again, the full reality of my body, that it was no longer as strong as I thought, was like, okay, joy, But having a level of transparency, I shifted how I taught. I told my students, like, well, look, I can't teach you these things anymore. It's hurting us, it's hurting you. So, holding ourselves really accountable in a way as well to our self-care. So for me, those were the platform, the foundations that led to the sense of reconciliation, and that is just bringing things back together. In yoga, we use postures, right? How do we align the ribs with the pelvis with the hips, and the legs and the feet. So we're going through this all the time, reassessing how we change those things. That same alignment happens. We use our bodies to bring that sense of alignment to bones and muscles to bring more ease and relief, but we can also use that with the mind and the heart. For me, that's the breath. It's that harmonizer, that equalizer. And so I hope maybe you've had some experience of that, this sense of calm and relief, of stepping out in the world, outside this room, of your work life, your home life, and coming to this space where you can really be solid in this moment. Notice that your mind sometimes is not here with your body. You have to give your mind, your heart, time to catch up with the body, and vice versa. So that's what reconciliation is. It's bringing things back into alignment. And the breath is a powerful tool for that. It really is. We're literally breathing in deep nourishment. Okay? So I love to invite people to think about that oxygen as more than just nourishment for the cells, but nourishment for the heart. We're using it to just breathe open the whole body, breathe open the mind, so you can experience it as a blossoming. The breath is arising, it's being sustained and matures, right? It energizes us, it nurtures us, it replenishes us. And then there's that exhale. Oh, we do not know enough about our exhale, the power of that, to just calm our nervous system. That breath has the power to really change our brains. And that exhale, it's clearing out the waste gas, that carbon dioxide, right? It's up, right? And it's taking out all toxins and tensions of body, heart, and mind. It can settle us. It can help us feel sorted. So I invite you to be with your breath, to cultivate that exhale, to just fully release those worries. Find a deep space of relief, and that then is your refuge. Taking refuge in the breath. But there's also this space that I hope we'll get a chance to really talk about when it comes to reconciliation that exists between the breath. It's a pause. It's a deep pause. Really subtle, little, often pay attention to it. But the depth of it is that in that pause, it contains the seeds of equanimity, the steadiness of heart and mind. Just take a moment to be with your breath. You have to inhale. It's a subtle pause. It's very brief. If you learn to extend it, just a beat or two. And just notice how steady everything is in the body.